Next on the news.
My fellow Americans, enough. Enough. It's time for each of us to do our part.
An angry President Biden demanding more be done on the issue of gun control after several devastating mass shootings. Federal investigators poised to review how the FDA inspected a baby formula plant that played a role in a nationwide shortage.
Everyone is here for Monsignor.
Catholic Academy hosted a surprise retirement celebration for their pastor. Plus,
it's like a Cinderella and the slipper moment.
How a woman was reunited with her roller skates 40 years later. I'm Christine Persichetti. This special edition of Currents News starts right now.
This time, we have to take the time to do something this time.
President Biden addressing the nation and calling on lawmakers to take action on gun control. In the wake of several mass shootings nationwide, the president calling for a ban on assault weapons. He says hospitals and schools have become killing fields and that Congress has to act now on gun control. Meredith Wood has the latest details.
There are too many other schools, too many other everyday places that have become killing fields, battlefields here in America.
As Americans struggle to grasp a lethal wave of mass shootings that are traumatizing communities and tearing lives apart.
After Columbine, after Sandy Hook, after Charleston, after Orlando, after Las Vegas, after Parkland, nothing has been done.
President Biden is calling out Congress to come together and work on bipartisan gun reform laws.
This is not about taking away anyone's guns. It's not about vilifying gun owners. In fact, we believe we should be treating responsible gun owners as an example of how every gun owner should behave.
The president laying out actions he believes need to be taken.
And if we can't ban assault weapons, then we should raise the age to purchase them from 18 to 21. Strengthen background checks. Enact safe storage law and red flag laws. Repeal the immunity that protects gun manufacturers from liability. Address the mental health crisis.
Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell says he's hopeful and optimistic lawmakers can compromise on legislation to address mass shootings to have ready to unveil when the Senate returns to session next week.
Mental illness and school safety are what we need to target.
I'm Meredith Wood reporting.
The president isn't the only one calling for tighter gun laws. New York lawmakers just passed a package of bills strengthening gun control in the state. The measures would increase the age restriction to buy semi-automatic rifles from 18 to 21. Most civilians would be banned from buying bulletproof vests, and existing red flag laws would also be strengthened. Governor Kathy Hochul is expected to sign all 10 bills into law soon. There are still no leads or arrests in the Unholy act that left St. Augustine Church in Park Slope desecrated and vandalized. The pastor, Father Frank Tamino, discovered the destruction at the 19th century church last Saturday. Thieves stole the parish's sacred gold and silver tabernacle and beheaded 2 marble angel statues. While the tabernacle is valued at $2 million, Father Tamino says it was priceless for its historical value and its inspiration for parishioners. Decrying this act of hate, Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan will bless the church as part of a penitential rite of reparation on June 4th. Tulsa Bishop David Conderla held a memorial mass at St. Francis Hospital, the scene of Thursday's mass shooting, offering condolences to the families of the victims.
Today we gather to comfort one another, to support one another in prayer as a family. Even as we
During his homily, Bishop Conderla stressed the importance of having hope in the midst of pain, saying evil cannot overwhelm the love in our hearts. Tulsa officials are praising police for their fast response to that mass shooting at the Catholic hospital on Wednesday. Police officials say officers were on the scene at a building on the St. Francis Hospital campus in just 4 minutes. And several other Oklahoma law enforcement agencies also responded to the scene.
It's Tulsa Police, Tulsa Fire, Tulsa County Sheriff, FBI, ATF, Light Horse Police. I mean, I could go on and on. There were so many people, which really just tells you we have a lot of great people in this community that want to help.
Authorities say the gunman, identified as Michael Lewis, shot and killed a doctor who performed back surgery on him. 3 other people were killed before police say Lewis turned the gun on himself. In Uvalde, Texas, where a gunman opened fire inside an elementary school, a double funeral was held. Mourners said their final goodbyes to Irma Garcia, one of the 2 teachers killed in that shooting last week, and her husband Joe, who died of a heart attack 2 days later. 19 children were also shot and killed in their 4th grade classroom. It's been funeral after funeral in the small South Texas community. In fact, Father Eduardo Morales is presiding over 12 masses in 2 weeks. He says it feels like one huge funeral with no end in sight. This is how those who love 10-year-old Amory Jo Garza will remember her. A decade of photos showing a happy girl with a sweet smile, described by family as sassy, funny, and a little diva who hated wearing dresses. Memories of happier times as her family, friends, and community say goodbye during visitation and a rosary service.
It brings me joy to know that I got an opportunity to have such a great daughter, and I tried to be the best father that I could be.
Just down the road, another grieving family says goodbye to Maite Rodriguez, also 10 years old.
I love her, that I miss her, that I'm proud of her. She wanted to be a marine biologist before she could even say the word. She loved animals.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you how many, but I think one every day.
Father Eduardo Morales will lead 12 funeral services at Sacred Heart Catholic Church over the next 2 weeks.
It's as if one huge funeral that is not ending. We laugh because we don't want to cry.
And as families bury their children, there are growing questions and outrage about the police response. The Justice Department now says it will review the response, which Texas officials say deviated from active shooter protocols.
Had they gotten there sooner and somebody would have taken immediate action, we might have more of those children here today, including my daughter.
Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez said President Biden told him that Robb Elementary School would be raised and rebuilt as part of a federal grant process for schools where there have been mass shootings.
What kind of world are we living in that legislation was created for raising these schools?
For some parents, those questions come too late.
No matter who is held responsible, it's not going to bring my daughter back. She was the perfect daughter to me.
Immediately following the shooting, San Antonio Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller was on site consoling the grieving families. He'll join us later in the newscast to recount those moments and the measures he wants the country to take to make sure such a tragedy never happens again. Federal investigators launched a probe into whether the FDA properly inspected a Michigan plant that Abbott Laboratories used to make baby formula. The investigation will look at how the agency oversaw the baby formula recall that led to severe shortages in the U.S. The review is expected to be complete in 2023. Parents nationwide have been struggling to find baby formula due to the shortage. And the only thing worse for a desperate parent right now than finding any formula is getting a specific formula for a child that has allergies. Hypoallergenic products have been nearly impossible to find, especially in New York. One couple from Long Island is living that nightmare, but they say because of family and friends, they're still blessed. Polo Sandoval shows us the lengths they go through to feed their child.
Oh, is the elephant gonna get you?
Come playtime, it's easy for Adriana and Justin Eith to get lost in the joys of raising a baby.
You're such a big boy. Yes, you are.
But come feeding time,
You know the drill. Come on.
the New York couple is reminded of the uncertainty that comes with finding nourishment for their 4-month-old baby amid the ongoing formula shortage.
Does someone want a bottle?
You wouldn't know it with his smile, but little Cooper suffers from digestive issues and a dairy allergy.
You're being such a good boy today.
Not only does Cooper rely solely on powdered baby formula for nutrition, but he can only hold down Pyramino, a prescription powder that is not only hypoallergenic, but it's also nearly impossible to find these days, according to Eith.
It's the easiest thing for him to digest because unlike other formulas on the market, they have like Similac Elementum, they have Nutramigen, but there's still trace amounts of dairy in that. So in this, there's no dairy and very, very limited soy.
Eith has had to expand her search from the pharmacies in her Long Island community to the rest of the country.
I have family in Georgia, I have family in Florida, California, North Carolina. I have everyone helping me right now. My in-laws, my dad, I have coworkers. When I mean in this moment, why I feel so blessed and where the saying comes in, it takes a village, I have had more people now helping me than I've had, I mean, in months.
A network of parents on social media has also been a source of formula and a way for ICE to help fellow parents.
I joined everything. I'm in a group called One Parent to Another.
So far, ICE has managed to secure at least 2 weeks worth of formula, with the Food and Drug Administration estimating that it could be a few weeks before shelves are stocked fully again. Her worry is about Cooper's long-term nutritional needs and those of other children.
And I don't think right now there's no magic wand that can fix it. I think it's kind of a wait and see, because when it starts happening and it starts getting back on the shelves, I think that's when people are going to feel at ease.
ICE remains skeptical, but also hopeful that the government's long-awaited response will soon be felt at empty shelves across the country. With Cooper's bottles full for now, the ICE can focus on keeping the smile on their baby's face.
That was Polo Sandoval reporting. The American Academy of Pediatrics says cow's milk is an option for babies 6 months or older if formula is not available and the child doesn't need a specialty formula for allergies like Baby Cooper. There's a lot more news headed your way. New York lawmakers ended the legislative session with a focus on abortion, how you can join in on the fight for life. There's a new shepherd at Bishop Robert Brennan's old stomping grounds, a look at the new leader for the Diocese of Columbus. And marking 50 years in the priesthood, the students at St. Athanasius Catholic Academy in Brooklyn prepare a special surprise for their pastor.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
As soon as news broke of the school shooting in Texas, San Antonio Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller rushed to the Uvalde community to console the families of the victims. I spoke to the Archbishop earlier this week about those moments and asked, how do you keep the faith after losing a child?
You know, more than the faith issue will be how to love them, how to express care and attention and support in love, because the faith issue for some could be shaken, but many of them, their faith is so strong, but they are missing their child. They are in a very tragic situation. So the question will be, are we answering their needs?
Right, so people need to be there for them months down the road. I know President Biden was there. He attended Mass and met with the families over the weekend. You were there as well. How did the families respond to the president's visit and the community as a whole? I know there was some anger, people saying do something.
Sure. Well, the people in general were very appreciative of the visit of the president and his wife, and particularly the families. But the families are in shock. They are trying to deal with feelings, even in their bodies. You know, they are tired, they are aching. But you know, the president and his wife, they were so good in showing affection, and very genuinely, that they were able even to get smiles and even loud expressions of what we will call engaging in a fun conversation, which, for example, I don't have that gift, but I was able to see them, and they spent quality time because they were 8 hours in Uvalde.
Wow. Now, I know you've been outspoken about gun laws, and you recently said in an interview that pro-life politicians worry about the baby in the womb, but not the 9-year-old child. What did you mean by that?
What I meant is that we need to be consistent in what we believe. And that could be, there are many people who respect life, not just Catholics, people, and should be as extended as possible. But when we make a difference between the baby in the womb, this 9, 10 years old, the young man who is trying to figure out a career but doesn't have the funds, the discrimination of the racism, the elderly, the sick, the uninsured. And of course, each situation takes a different attention. But all is about having the person before us. People first, not the stock market, the finances, the power and prestige, is the people. And that is what is taking our time and what we have in our energy and our talents and gifts with the people in Uvalde, is to walk with them and to go on the rhythm, not in the way we want to be for them, but in the way they need. And we are collaborating. It's an effort of many people.
I'm sure it is. San Antonio Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller, thanks for being here. We're praying for you and everyone in the Uvalde community.
Thank you.
In Albany, New York lawmakers have passed a slew of bills strengthening the state's abortion laws. The measures offer protection to abortion providers who face extradition, arrest, and legal proceedings in other states, and protect them from medical misconduct charges for performing an abortion. The measures also prohibit the state from extraditing a patient to another state to face abortion-related charges if the procedure was performed in New York. Despite this, the pro-life fight rages on across the country, and you can read all about it in this week's edition of the Tablet newspaper. Not only is the paper offering a state-by-state look at statistics and laws, but it's also providing a resource guide for mothers and moms-to-be in the Diocese of Brooklyn, which includes a list of pregnancy centers and housing programs meant to help new mothers choose life, as well as a few words of wisdom from Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan. Again, you can find that story and more in this week's Tablet newspaper. Just head to your local church to pick up a copy. And if you want to get future editions delivered right to your mailbox, just go to thetablet.org and click subscribe. The tomb of Blessed Carlo Acutis has been permanently reopened for public viewing. Archbishop Domenico Sorrentino removed the panel covering Acutis' tomb in Assisi on Wednesday for permanent public veneration. Acutis was a young Catholic from Italy with a passionate devotion to the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. He was the first millennial to be beatified in the Catholic Church. Acutis died of leukemia in 2006 at the age of 15. History was made in Columbus, Ohio at the installation and ordination of their new bishop, a U.S.-born son of immigrant parents from India, chosen as the new shepherd of the Diocese of some 200,000 Catholics. A round of applause for a historic moment as Earl Fernandez officially becomes the 13th Bishop of Columbus. The 49-year-old is the youngest Roman Catholic bishop in the U.S. and the first of Indian American heritage. With a smile from ear to ear, he entered St. Paul the Apostle Catholic Church in Westerville, Ohio, Tuesday for his ordination and installation.
Receive the mitre and let the splendor of holiness shine in you.
Bishop Fernandez succeeds Bishop Robert Brennan, who left Columbus last year to become the shepherd of Brooklyn, and had some kind words for his predecessor.
I want to thank Bishop Brennan. Welcome back to Ohio. I have big shoes to fill. He was here only briefly, but he lifted the morale of both the people and the clergy.
One of the new bishop's priorities is to increase vocations to the priesthood in his new diocese.
I bring to your attention that this year in the Diocese of Columbus, there will be more bishops than priests ordained.
He asked the faithful to journey with him to share the joy of the gospel. That journey brought him to Columbus from Cincinnati. Parishioners of the church where he was pastor were sad to see him go, saying Columbus hit the jackpot.
In him you will find a faithful and fearless father, a strong leader, and a devoted friend
And surrounded by friends, family, and religious leaders from across the country, Bishop Fernandez begins his new role feeling the love and ready to serve.
I promise to work hard for you, to spill my blood for you.
Bishop Fernandez was born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. He actually entered medical school to follow in his father's footsteps, but after 2 years, he chose the seminary. The students at St. Athanasius Catholic Academy in Brooklyn hosted a surprise celebration for their pastor, Monsignor David Casado.
We are family, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I got Monsignor with me, singing loud.
So cute. Each class sang songs, recited poems, and offered prayers for Monsignor Casado. It was all in honor of his 50th anniversary as a priest and for his retirement as pastor of St. Athanasius Church. Monsignor Casado will remain as vicar for schools in the Diocese of Brooklyn throughout the upcoming school year, and he was recently promoted to Assistant Chief Chaplain for the NYPD. Look at him dance. Still to come on Currents News, it's a coincidence too good to be true. The fateful reunion that renewed one woman's long-lost interest in roller skating. A Canadian woman has her own Cinderella moment. While shopping for roller skates, she found out that what's old is new again. John Hoffman has the story.
Renee Forstall hadn't laced up a pair of roller skates in more than 40 years. She wanted to try it again as a fun way to exercise, so she bought new skates last month. She practiced for a week, but they didn't fit right. Not like the ones she had when she was young. So she searched online classified sites and quickly found a similar pair in questionable condition.
They said, well, here it is, if that you think that's going to fit your foot, you're welcome to try it. And I thought, it's a bit dodge. So I kept kind of scrolling. I thought, but $40, that's a good deal. So I kind of and I thought they do look like the ones I used to have.
Forstall says when she first saw them, they were pretty dirty. But once she got her foot in one of the skates, she knew she found a good fit.
It's like a Cinderella and the slipper moment. It was very strange. It was like a perfect fit. I couldn't believe it. And they felt good. It wasn't even like the new ones I had, like they were broken into my foot.
Forstall says she started asking the seller when he got the skates, when things got even stranger.
As he's telling me, I flipped back the tongue, and there's my name. And I was like, what? And I couldn't even believe it. I thought, how? And then I said, this is me. These were mine. When I saw my name, and I kind of, the shock kind of absorbed, and I felt tears welling up in my eyes. And I think because, I'm not even sure. I think because suddenly I was reeled back to my youth. Like 40 years ago, it was like, boom, like life flashed before my eyes.
Watching this all take place was James Bond, the man selling the skates. Bond says the moment filled his heart with joy.
When she saw her name written on the insides, she just started tearing up. And I thought that was so cool. I feel like they could make a Disney movie out of the whole thing.
I still can't believe his name is James Bond. Again, that was John Hoffman reporting. The seller says he had a gut feeling about Renee, and that's why he sold her the skates. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.